Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Love's gas station on Interstate 90. This is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and your co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center, Kastubha Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. We got Mara here spinning the dials. We are live at the Love's gas station because our internet is down. And so we're here sitting in a parking lot in our truck. We've done this a lot of times. Love's is part of like being part of the podcast. You know what Love's is. And every now and then we got someone crazy like Vegan Cannoli shows up at Love's to surprise me while we're doing the podcast live. He's not here today. He might show up. How are you, Kastubha? You ready for Q&A day?
I'm ready for it, yeah.
All right, great. Today, if you're listening on Facebook, welcome everybody. This is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily study of the Srimad Bhagavatam, India's ancient literature on connecting the jiva, the soul, with divinity. And it's the essence, considering the essence of all Vedic teachings. We're passionate about studying it, and not just studying it like academia, but applying it. You know, I was having a realization yesterday, Kastubha.
Yeah.
You know, me and Mara do this thing in the morning, you know, for the puja, where we're just chanting the prayers of the Goswamis and chanting prayers by the great.
Said Goswami Astika or
No. Just different prayers by the Goswamis, and it's part of our morning rituals.
Okay.
And I was just thinking, it's like the I don't even speak Sanskrit, but I'm just hearing the transliterate. I'm reading the translations, but I'm reading the transliterations. So I'm reading in the English Sanskrit, right?
You're speaking the Sanskrit.
So we're chanting all these prayers. I'm thinking, wow, the rhyme scheme is so incredible. The alliteration is so incredible. Like, these guys are masters of poetry. Nobody even knows about them in the West, for the most part. We know Robert Frost, or we know whomever, you know, in the West. But it's not only that. They're not just incredible artists, poets, like songwriters. They are like of the highest caliber of character, right?
Yes,
when we hear about some great author or some musician, it's not like we're talking and we're all in love with them. They don't necessarily have the highest caliber of character. These guys are like living saints that are also incredible artists, you know? And it's like, whatever they are, I want to follow you. Like, I was reading Rupa Goswami yesterday. I was like, I like you. I want to be like you. Whatever you believe in, I want to believe in too. That's how cool you are, Rupa Goswami. You know what I mean? I mean, we do that with mundane, nice poets who talk about life and death and nature and stuff like that. And we're like interested. Yeah, I want to hear what like Robert Frost is all about. I want to read his bio and stuff like that. Read the bio. Read about Rupa Goswami. These guys are like next level, out of this world mystics.
I'm with you, Raghunath. I'm just a little concerned for time because we have questions to answer.
Okay.
But I'm totally with you.
You're trying to blow out my flame today. Okay.
I'm totally with you.
Extinguish my fire.
No, I want your fire to be maintained.
Okay, Samvartika cloud.
I just want you to redirect your fire just a little bit over to the questions that people have been asking.
All right.
But before doing that, we got to check in with Mara, all right?
Yeah, we just want to say, Facebook people, welcome. This is Q&A day. And we do Facebook twice a week, Saturday and Sunday.
For announcements today, we have a Bhakti recovery group meeting at 9:30 this morning, and Shlokam memorization group with Nityananda Chandra at 10 a.m.
Look at that.
Isn't that great?
Memorization.
Shloka memorization group. You can do that. People do that in this community. Get your fingers off my computer, Mara. I have to say these announcements because the feedback is whenever I make the announcements, more and more people sign up. And now we're finding it's getting even more crowded. It's going to be full. Italy's going to be full, and our retreat at Super Soul is going to be full. There's a couple spaces left. If you haven't registered, Wisdom of the Sages retreat is May 24th to the 27th at Super Soul Farm. Go to wisdomofthesages.com/events to register or for more information. And if you want our retreat, Wisdom of the Sages, Italy 2023, June 27th, July 4th. This is our third annual one. It's awesome. Go to the events page. And
we're
also,
about to announce the Rath Yatra one, right? New York Rath Yatra.
I can't announce it yet. But
Okay,
yes, I'm going to announce that in 2 days once it goes up. It's not up yet, so I don't want to announce it. But the 200-hour Bhakti Yoga Vinyas teacher training at Super Soul Farm with me, Bobby, and Cindy is happening July 13th to the 28th. Lots of Bhakti, lots of yoga, lots of good company. Woo!
Okay.
So now let's dive into the questions.
Hey, but let's also mention that we have our episode 1000 coming up next Thursday.
Oh my God.
And
It's hard to believe.
Yeah, we're going to have a very special guest, Radha Swami, will be here with us for that show. And I think we should go extra time, like at least an hour and a half or so, maybe more with that one.
I'll go over.
And our plan is to do the prophet style interview with him, where you just ask him these like really fundamental questions
About prophets.
Not about profits.
How to make profits in this world, Maharaj. What do you think? I'm just
Not
joking.
that kind of profit either.
I get it. I'm joking. Profit, like the prophet. I understand.
All right.
All right, let's dive into the questions, Prabhu. I'm gonna ask the first one. This is from Adrian.
No, it's for you.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna answer the first one.
Color code this for you, Raghunath.
Kostuma makes it really easy. Color codes the questions. Okay, the red ones are for you, so I'll read them. He has to spell the whole damn thing out like I'm 5 years old.
It's still. Okay.
Mara treats me like a 5-year-old. I've come to realize too. I was just talking to her in the car. She's like, like, like a 5-year-old just gabs and gabs and gabs and changes subjects. And you just go, okay, all right.
It's not conscious, but we're just trying to find the best way to communicate.
I'm just like talking away.
Raghunath, I don't even know if you read the things I text back to you, but you sent me a text that was indecipherable. And I said to you, dude, 85% of your texts are indecipherable. And then I started sending you the text that you send to me and how they're all indecipherable. What's with that?
I sent that back.
Huh?
Sometimes I talk into my phone and my phone just creates words.
Yeah, so most people, before they send it,
they look at it, right?
So that the person on the other end can make sense of it.
Okay. When Kostuma says, dude, I know I'm in trouble. Dude.
No, that wasn't like, dude was meant to lighten the thing.
Okay.
Dude. You're in big trouble. He doesn't say dude. That's even worse.
Okay.
All right,
read the question
dude?
and I'm ready, dude.
Okay, this is from Adrian. Again, right?
Adrian. This is third question. This guy is coming up.
Yeah, well, he was tacking this question onto his other questions, and because his other questions are so elaborate, we weren't taking this one. But he keeps sending it in, so I know it's important to him.
Okay, we got you, Adrian.
Right. So he says, "Good morning, everyone. I have a question for all of you with input. I gave it to you, but Mara could share. I could share. I've asked this a couple of times now." Yep. And almost got an answer. Okay, so I'll try one more time. I am not a bhakti, but I chant. I guess he's saying I'm not fully a bhakti yogi, but I chant.
I love when people say that. I love when people say that. Like, oh, I'm not. I haven't signed up for this really. I'm even completely up.
I want to know how to offer my food to Krishna. Let me tell you, buddy.
Let me tell you. Let me restate your question. I'm a complete Hare Krishna. All my friends. I don't want everyone to think I'm weird and nuts, so I don't want to say I'm in this, but I do want to offer my picture. I do want to offer all my food to a blue cowherd boy picture.
Painting. Yeah.
Painting.
Okay, so I'll try one more time. I'm not a bhakti, but I chant. Okay.
Okay.
I'm not a yogi. All right. But I practice a couple of asanas daily. Yeah.
Okay. You do yoga regularly. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
But you're not into yoga. No, you don't want to.
I'm trying to open up my heart and surrender. Okay.
I'm not a vegetarian, but I don't eat meat. What kind of word games are you playing with us, Adrian?
I'm not a basketball player, but I do compete in the NBA. I'm trying to open up my heart and surrender. One thing I'd like to do is to start offering my food. This is something that people in the Western world, they never even considered.
It's a thing. It's a thing, actually, not just in India, too.
Other places do it?
I've seen this in Mexico.
Really?
I saw it on a movie in Mexico. Someone's eating a food.
I saw this in Mexico. Okay, I saw it in a movie about Mexico. Okay,
but it seemed like a
I
thing.
saw it in a comic book that was like a comic book of a movie.
No,
about
I think
Mexico.
it's a thing. It's an appreciation for the food you're eating, but it's a little bit more ritualized.
Yeah.
All right, go on.
So he says, I have a painting of Krishna in my kitchen area, but without being a devotee, is there any kind of basic ritual I could perform to offer the food? What's the basic ritual? Thank you for your service, Adrian.
Okay. I'm going to give you the simple answer because I really believe that, and this is going to tie in with another question coming up, is like there is an essential thing behind the rituals
Going on behind
that
the
that
ritual.
that we want people, especially on this podcast, to really clue in with.
All right.
There are rituals, and there's elaborate rituals. Matter of fact, there's some rituals, it seems like they never end. It's like the land of rituals, almost India. But the rituals are meant to serve the main thing. The rituals are meant to serve devotion.
Okay.
So before we teach ritual, understand the essence. God has provided everything for us. And therefore, with great appreciation, we are preparing this to offer with love to God.
That's, in other words, I'm walking around as if God didn't provide it for me. I want to get my conscience snapped into that it actually has been provided, right? So
Yeah.
the ritual serves that awareness.
And sometimes, yeah. And so I tell my little boy, instead of learning the mantras for the offering, you just put this in front of the picture and you say, Krishna, please accept this offering, and chant Hare Krishna. That little thing, please accept this offering, Hare Krishna, that's an offering of love. Now, you can always elaborate on rituals, period. Just for example, we tell everybody to chant 1 round of japa. You can do more rounds of japa. You can make sure you're showered and bathing and do akshman, another ritual, before you chant japa. You can sit in place in front of your deities on a sitting place before you do your japa. You know what I mean? There's so many rituals to add to your ritual, but the essence is this. This isn't mine. I didn't create cauliflower. Come on. I didn't create the cumin spice to put in the cauliflower. I didn't even get the salt. I've never gotten salt. Yet somehow all of this is here. And now I'm going to offer it to you before I enjoy it because I realize I'm part of something bigger. Now, interestingly enough, I was challenged by my 9-year-old the other day. And he goes, how do you offer this food? He said this. I said, offer that. He said, how do you offer it? We were making popcorn. I just said, you put it up to the picture and then you say this, please accept this offering. He goes, but you wanted the popcorn. I was like, he goes, but you wanted the That's what he said. That's what he said. He said, are we doing this for Krishna or are we doing it for you?
Good question.
And I was like, that's a great question. I said, even if we're doing it for us, we still understand that it's an offering to Krishna. So you're right. We're not just eating because we want to offer food to Krishna. Although that's the highest thing. I'm thinking, I want to offer food to Krishna regularly. And when you have a temple or an altar, you want to think, I want to offer Krishna something regularly. But also we want to cook or suppose you're like snacking in the course of a day, etc. You want to think, I want to snack, but I want to remember Krishna while I'm doing this too. So some people say, well, I'm eating a corn chip. I can't do that. It's already been cooked in some factory at Lay's potato chip factory. Here's the thing. The main thing is that we are remembering Krishna and that Krishna is behind everything and that we're here to remember Krishna. That is sort of the goal of life, is remembering Krishna is behind everything. So I would say, even if you're eating some snack food that is, quote, unofferable on your altar, remember Krishna before you eat it. Keep the main thing the main thing. That's the essential of the ritual.
Oh, you just took, I never heard.
He goes, I still didn't get an answer.
Yeah, I'm saying you took it to another level. Even if you're eating something that's unofferable, think of Krishna. Like,
well, meaning if you're
in a
eating
mood
a piece
of repentance,
bread,
like, Krishna, I shouldn't be eating this, but I'm doing it.
No, it just means sometimes we have to eat food because you're out at work and you're, not everybody is at home with an altar to offer their every meal.
You can still
some people
it. You still offer it.
Yeah, that's what I said. So you're offering.
Well, you said even if you can't offer it, you should think of Krishna when you're eating it.
I'm just saying, Yeah, but ideally, we're not offering a piece of loaf of bread that we got at a supermarket. We're trying to cook all our
but
food
I would still
fresh.
offer it though.
Well, I'm saying whether you
Okay,
offer
yeah.
it or whether you think of Krishna, this is coming from Krishna, and you say, Krishna, please accept this, or chant the names of Vishnu or names of Krishna before you eat it. There you go.
Okay. So are you gonna give him a basic ritual? Because that's what he's
No,
asking
I
for.
just did. It's the
No.
one I'm going to give my son. Is
Yeah.
please, Krishna, please accept this offering and chant the Maha Mantra or chant the Panchatattva Maha Mantra. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, and the Hare Krishna mantra.
Yeah, we gave a we shared I shared with Mara a link for the website krishna.com offering-food-krishna www.krishna.com/offering-food-krishna. But there's some simple stuff there too if people want to go there.
You know, you told me this prayer by Narottam Das Thakur, and that's the prayer I used to offer my food all the time.
Oh yeah. You want me
I'm
to get that
going
one?
to say it right now.
Okay.
My dear Lord Krishna, just as you've accepted the offering and the wives of the Brahmins, and just as you've accepted the banana peels of Vidura Rani, and just as you've accepted the milk sweets of the gopis, and just as you've accepted the breast milk of Mother Yasoda, will you please accept this offering?
Yeah.
Then I
that's a
chant the
sweet
other
thing.
mantras. It's such a sweet mantra,
Yeah.
and it reminds me of Krishna. Oh my God, he accepted the love of the wives of the Brahmins. You remember all those pastimes, and it makes your heart swell for love of Krishna. Now, please accept this in the same way you did that.
We see, to me, Raghunath, you see what you've shared two levels of consciousness, two levels of awareness in offering one's food to Krishna. The first one was like, hey, I'm wandering through this world like a spoiled brat. I'm wandering around this world unconscious of the magic and the miracles and the kindness that's being provided for me at every moment. And to bring my awareness to that, let me take part in this ritual before I put the most basic fundamental human or need, eating food. Before I do that, which I do every day practically, I'm going to build in a ritual into my day to bring my awareness to what I want to become more aware of, right? That everything's being provided for me. I'm dependent. I have this eternal connection. I'm being sustained. But then the second one, where you brought out that other prayer, which is a very intimate prayer, like, because it's saying, like, for those that aren't familiar, it's like those are different examples coming from these sacred texts of people that fed Krishna in a way that he found it was done with deep devotion, and he found it very satisfying. The other level is that I offer my food to Krishna because I want to please him with the mood of intimacy. Like just like sometimes we cook for someone that we love and we want to really make them happy. So like that, I'm cooking for Krishna.
You know exactly what they want. She loves this, so I'm going to make it like
I'm
this.
gonna go buy the best ingredients. Just like like sometimes I have people over for pizza, right? I go out, I try to get the best ingredients, because I want them to be happy. But when one's thinking like for Krishna like that, then our devotion's getting deeper, right?
Me and Mara are coming next week.
Oh, you're coming? Okay.
Meet us.
All right. Next question.
All right. I've got one for you,
my
friend.
Okay.
Kastuba, this is from Freddy the Shark.
Okay. This is for both of us. You'll notice the green.
Green means both of us. Okay.
I mean, I can take it on first.
Freddy the Shark from the UK. He's a card-carrying other. Love all three of you and the rest. A question from another.
This is a long question, so.
Okay, I go fast. Been listening since lockdown, and it grounds me daily. A true gift to the world. Keep up the amazing work. Your words bless us. Thank you, Freddy the Shark. I have a question to whoever has sage advice. How should you react when someone is spreading lies about your family? Context. I'm slowly getting into bhakti. My wife is not into bhakti. I doubt she even knows what it is. But in any case, we are friends with another couple who have children the same age as ours. And we all used to socialize together and have great fun initially. It slowly dawned on us that the mother of the other children was a narcissist. People throw narcissist around a lot lately. You ever notice that? It's like everybody's, and she controlled everything in their family. Man, maybe there are more narcissists nowadays.
That could be.
Yeah. And she controlled everything in the family, including who her 11-year-old daughter should play with, etc. Although a lot of parents do that. We slowly started to distance ourselves from them as the drama was getting too much. Our children remained friends, but they also drifted as the daughter had taken many personality traits from her mother. Yep. In fact, initially their daughter dumped my daughter and said she was no longer her best friend. Our
Ouch.
daughter was in tears most of the nights for months, but we gently coached her and explained that friendships can change and she'd find more friends that aligned better with her. And that happened over the last few years. So that is nice to see. In fact, they are now fine with each other and a better relationship as kids that just talk as and when they see each other, but they move in different circles, but they act maturely. Back to my wife.
Sometimes the kids are more mature than the parents. That's cool.
Sometimes the kids are a little more mature. Back to my wife. She slowly distanced herself from the narcissist, or who over the course of a year by declining invites, etc. Oh, that kills a narcissist, as it was draining her energy. Eventually, the narcissist realized, and one day she dumped a bag of stuff she had of ours on our driveway. Oh, man.
That's not right.
And she then left all common WhatsApp. She left all the common WhatsApp groups we were in. From then on, she has been posting things online referencing some other mothers. This means my wife. And she was saying that my wife is not teaching proper values to her children, mainly slanders, comments to degrade my wife's character. This is all because my wife slowly created the boundaries she needed. And now my wife is very angry about the lies she is spreading. And she wants to knock on her door and confront her. Ooh, she is worried other people will know. She knows will believe her, even though she has not named her. Common people know that they don't speak anymore. Anyway, I told her to ignore it and let it pass in what I believe is the true spirit of Bhakti. Further edit. This person has a revolving door of people always at her house and does not seem to have any real long-term friends. We realized after a few years, she always falls out with her current good friends and moves on to the next victim. Her house is never just her and her family. It's like she can't be alone with her own family. She is always shouting about all the people she helps. She needs to try to show people how much she cares about people in the world. She helps the needy, often in virtue signaling ways. So she is involved in good causes, and this is how she entices new victims. Externally, she looks like a saint who really cares about you and wants to invite you into her exciting and lively, vitreous life. Virtuous. I was like, I don't want to sound dumb. I'm just going to say vitreous. Raghunath doesn't know what vitreous means until you get to know her, and then she tries to control you and your kids. How can I advise my wife? I sense she should let it pass and not get embroiled in a war of words. What do you think, Kostubaji?
Whew.
Oh, man. Kostuba, you missed that whole thing of kids and kids' parents and meetings with other parents. It's a whole thing. Dealing with other kids' parents. You jumped right over that. It's like not having a pet. You never had to pick up poop.
When we grew
Picking up poop's a whole thing, Kostuba. You missed that on that too.
I don't do that.
Walking around with a handful of poop. What do you think the dog's thinking? No, don't pick it up.
Kids do that too, from what I understand.
It's humiliating walking around with a bag of poop in New York.
You know, when we were kids, I think we just went out and played on our own. You know, it's like the parents weren't around. Like it wasn't such a thing. But
no,
nowadays,
everything's like a play date, checking in with the parents. And
okay, here's what I got to say, Raghunath.
Yeah.
So Freddie the Shark is saying that his wife she doesn't even know anything about Bhakti, but I'm kind of giving her an idea of how to handle this that I feel is in the true spirit of Bhakti, which is don't get caught up in this. Don't even defend yourself. You know, it's just like a big mess. And the more that you get involved in it, the more messy it gets. You know, you defend yourself and then there's a response and then you got to. So I get it. The question is, can his wife relate to that? You know, can his wife appreciate that? As a Bhakti yogi, we can say, hey, look, this is the way that the Bhakti yogis think, is that You know, part of the etiquette, part of the nature of the bhakti yogi is that when they're
Defamed.
okay, we could say defamed or accused or criticized.
Yeah.
Even if
Insulted.
it's being done, like even if it's being done with like lies, the nature of the bhakti yogi is that they don't even defend themselves. Now, to a lot of people, that may sound like what, you know, like, oh, they're so
Just
like
gonna roll over and play dead. while
spineless.
they-
Yeah. But really, if we look, you know, I think we see this in so many different spiritual traditions. As a matter of fact, whenever you hear like the like a biography of a great saint, almost always they're defamed by others, right? Almost always they're criticized by others who even lie about them, create lies to defame them. And again and again we see that like the response of the saint is that they don't even it's like they don't even put up a fight. They don't respond. They don't get into the tit for tat.
Sometimes
they
they'll
even
agree. Yeah.
sometimes they own it. Yeah, like
Sometimes they'll say, "Oh yeah, I'm a nonsense.
you know,
called
there's
me.
that
You
story about
figured me out."
there's that story about Akinshana Krishnadas Babaji, you know, who was a god brother of Srila Prabhupada. So he was he would he would s- he was kind of like he would roam around Vrindavan and stay in different ashrams, you know, for a little time here and a little time there, not getting like caught up in the politics of it or anything, you know. And someone just like accused him, look at you, you are like such a cheater, you know, you're going here and there, you don't commit to anyone, you're like, you know, I don't even know exactly what they're saying. And he said, finally everybody's treating me with all this respect, but finally someone understands who I really am, you know.
Yeah, it's sort of like the Wing Chun of verbal dynamics. Is sort of like you
Wing Chun?
accept
Oh,
it,
I see.
and yeah, it's like what I used to do to the mean farmer neighbor. Remember? She was
Yeah, I
like, "You
know.
don't know anything about farming," and you're like, "No, you're right. I know.
Right.
I'm a total fool. I'm actually a total fool. You
Yeah.
100% agree with them and more, and they're completely disarmed,
Yeah.
and they look stupider. Especially if people know your character is of good character. It makes them look
Well,
it makes them
you
look
know, we have examples in Bhagavatam. We're going to, in the first canto, we read about how Dharma the bull was attacked by the age of Kali personified and was hacking away, right? And then when Maharaj Purga came, who did this to you? He would just wouldn't say, right?
Mm.
And we have Purkit himself, who was cursed, you know, unfairly, cursed to death unfairly, didn't criticize it, let it, you know, didn't defend himself, right? Ambarish Maharaj, we see like this. There's a very fascinating story about Srivas Thakur that's in Chaitanya Bhagavat, how he was, someone tried to frame him, you know, and make him look bad, and he just kind of, yes, this is me, you know, he said it like that. You
I-
see, because the bhakti yogis know that there's like a superficial level of awareness that people walk through this world. And the lady that's being called a narcissist here, it sounds like she's existing on that level. It's a world of anxiety, it's a world of anger, it's a world of depression, of resentment, having a mind that's caught up in these thoughts of defending oneself, of counteracting criticisms, and getting your hands all dirty and messy in this whole thing, getting your
When you
consciousness,
wrestle with the skunk, Kastuba,
your hands get
sometimes you end
smelly.
up smelling.
Yeah. Or
It,
there's another level of awareness, you know, which takes courage and takes detachment, where we take our awareness to that deeper spiritual level, where I'm not you may think this way about that, you may pump out into the atmosphere all kind of things about me. I'm capable of zooming out. I'm capable of recognizing the insignificance of this in the broader picture, and I'm not going to roll up my sleeves and get into a whole big thing about this,
Mm.
because it's just going to drag my consciousness down.
It
So
really
say what
does.
you'll say.
It
Right.
really does drag the consciousness down.
Yeah.
Um,
Now,
and and
y-
and the
yeah.
thing is, as devotees, not just do we say, "Oh yeah, you're right, you caught me. I'm a rascal." We also we also see that people are in Maya, and once you start finding fault with the world, you got to understand people like that are suffering. People are in pain. And we actually, not only do we agree with them or admit the fault, but we also pray for them. We also say, you know what? I hope these people become really God conscious. We don't do it with any animosity, because that is the mood of the Vaishnava. We're always hoping people evolve. You
Right.
know, we're not trying to take people down. We're actually trying to build people up. And if people are trying to take other people down, if they're completely petty with us, we don't play the petty game back, or then we're just as bad as them. We actually wish them well. We wish people well, even those who are wishing ill against us. That's our default.
Right. That's the default. You're right. You're right. So now that all that being said, some of our life does exist on the superficial level, on the surface level, right? Like, for instance, there might be certain cases where you're called to defend yourself. You know, like, let's say your kids are becoming confused. Like, well, everybody's saying that you're a murderer, or everybody, whatever. You know, sometimes you might have to, but in general, the Bhakti yogis not interested in getting into the tit for tat, back and forth, and all of that. They kind of just don't dignify it. They just kind of let it go. So all that being said, you're asking, like, how can I advise my wife? And I can't say, like what Raghunath, like what you were saying, like when that person was criticizing you and you talk to them and you kind of like soften them and warn them off. Maybe there's a way to do that. Maybe this person is actually like a pathological narcissist, and even if you tried that, it just would get nowhere. That's a possibility too. Maybe you want to just let it go. Maybe on some level there needs to be a response, because it's becoming socially problematic for people that are dear to you, or something like that. I think the two of you had to figure that out together. But in figuring it out, please consider this idea very deeply, right? That, is it worth it to drag our consciousness into this kind of stuff? Is it really necessary? Is it really worth it? Or would we all be better off just letting it go and keeping our awareness fixed where we want it to go, rather than letting this person direct it for us, right? It's like their behaviors, you're responding to their behavior, and is the response to that getting me off the path that I want to stay on, that I want to keep steadily on? Really consider that in your decision.
Yeah.
All right. More you'd like to add to that, Robert?
Yeah, that pettiness really can really tangle your
Becomes a petty
mind up.
party.
It's a petty party, and it haunts your mind. You know what I do whenever I go to holy places like Radhakund? I like to pray for people at holy places, but I especially pull out the people who sort of driving me a little crazy, or people who got issues with me. And people like, because if they've got issues with me, my sort of like wiring is, you got issues with me? For what? I've done nothing to you. Now I got issues with you. So I start praying for their good fortune, for their deep spiritual connection. And that's sort of like, it releases my mind from resentment.
Yeah. Sometimes people criticize wisdom of the sages. I've seen it out there, Raghunath.
There is some like wisdom of the sages, like the fake wisdom of the sages. I just saw it yesterday for the first time. I was Googling wisdom of the sages or YouTube searching, and it was like the fake wisdom of the sages. I was like, man, this thing's got 6,000 hits.
Someone took the time to like really just like, attack us.
We could get onto that chat thing and start defending ourselves. Who are you to say this? Who are you anyway? It's just
like, you know what? You things like that. Don't even give them attention.
Yeah.
Pray for those people and walk away from it. Yeah.
So I in general, I think that's the answer, but certain circumstances may require some response, but really consider this. That would be my, and even if your wife's not a Bhakti yogi, if she's a person that just appreciates peace of mind, or just, human dignity, on that level, she may be able to buy into the idea that it's not worth it.
It could be her entry into Bhakti yoga, which is, you want actually, I do this practice that helps with peace of mind, and how they deal with fault finding and criticism and personal attack of character is, you pray for those people and you release it from your mind. You release all resentment. I think that's a good entry point.
Pray for the haters.
Pray for the hater. That's a nice way.
Pray for the
Don't be petty with the petty.
Don't be
okay. I got one for you. And this is from the Discord thread. It's from this guy's this guy's name is Bhagava-Tom.
Bhagavad-Tom.
Because on Discord they all have kooky names, right? No one uses their real name. This is Bhagava-Tom.
Call that
Okay.
kooky? That's like
Sort of, it's a kooky name. It's cool, kooky. Oh, check it out! You can see Lubs in my back windshield. Isn't that cute?
Loves, that's right.
Did you do that on purpose? Frame it out. Okay, Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. This question is for Kastuba and Raghu. In chapter 12, text 18 and 19, the Gita of the Gita, the Lord states that one who is always free from contaminating association is very dear to me.
Sounds like the narcissist.
Sounds like the narcissist. Are we to understand this as one whom is free from contamination, while even in the association of such a corruptible personality? Or one whom is physically free from such contaminating association, like one who just stays away from it? But that doesn't seem tenable to me. The former seems more plausible from a yogic perspective. And if it is the former, how do we ensure the compatibility and cooperation of tolerance and discernment? Haribol, thank you for your service. Thank you, Bhagavatam. And I'm going to talk to you, Bhagavat Kastuba.
So just so that we kind of frame out this question, there's a text at the end of the 12th chapter. There's a series of verses beginning from, I think, text 13 through 20, which Krishna repeatedly has the refrain,
Priyosime,
yeah,
right?
such a person is very dear to me, such a devotee is very dear to me, such a yogi is very dear to me. So in text, I believe it's 18. He says 18 and 19 because commonly these texts are translated together. It mentions that one who is always free from a contaminating association is very dear to me. So Tom here is asking, does that mean free from that association? Like I don't even mix with those people. I stay far away from them. Or does it mean that even while you're in the midst of them, that you're free from the effect that the negative effect that association would have on a person? Right? Good question.
Great question.
Well, I got a great answer. You know why it's great?
Because you thought it up and you're a great person.
The exact opposite, because I didn't think it up, because it's not coming from me, but it's coming from Ramanuja Acharya. So
it seems like this is an ongoing question that people have been asked for hundreds of years.
Well, he Ramanuja Acharya 1,000 years ago thought that this was an important question, so he responded to it in his commentary on these verses. Interesting, right? So this is what he says, Raghunath. He says the absence of hate towards foes and friends, etc., has already been taught in the stanza beginning, "He who never hates any being," which is text 12:13. It was a few verses back, right? He says what is now taught is that equanimity to be practiced even when such persons mentioned above are present before one, who are superior to those having a general equanimous temperament referred to earlier. Let me try to say that again. He's saying, if we go back to we're asking about text 18 here in the 12th chapter. He's saying if you go back to text 13, it also talks about association, negative association, and not resenting others. And even while, but those texts are referring to, like, you may be removed from them. Like, I'm not, literally what the verse says is it says one who is not envious or like hateful, but is a kind friend to all living entities. That's text 12:13. And here it's saying that one may be in that state by staying away from people that are problematic, right? Like, I'm not hateful to anyone. I stay far enough away from them that's not coming out of me. He's saying in this text, it's talking about people that are superior to those. In other words, a deeper yogi, a deeper bhakti yogi, that even when they're in the presence of people that are problematic, they remain unaffected by it. So Ramanuja went right to that and spoke to that. And I think it's very relevant for us because most of us aren't going to wander away from the world. Most of us have to exist with narcissistic mothers that our children's friends, have friends with, and or people in in the work situation that are, that can be whether they're unfriendly or cruel or even just they bring that level of conversation down to low levels, etc. So it's challenging that I can inoculate myself or I can insulate myself through this wisdom, through Bhagavad-gita, and then go into that world and be unaffected by it, not be dragged down, not even feeling animosity towards others at all. Krishna saying, if you can do that, that's superior. And that makes one very, very dear to him.
Very wise.
Okay. All
Very
right.
wise.
You ready for one more question, Raghu?
Yeah.
This is for both of us, but I'll read it. I'm an other from Australia. Who is this? This is Christy Logan. Oh, yeah. I'm an other from Australia who discovered your amazing soul food podcast through Keshava from the Hare Krishna Valley and beautiful Otway Rangers. You know anything about Otway Rangers?
I know the Hare Krishna Valley.
Okay.
It's a cool place. I've been there.
It sounds like you've been to Otway Rangers.
I guess so.
I have
Maybe that's a place. Maybe it's in
sounds like it, right?
town called Otway Rangers, but I've been to Hare Krishna Valley. It's cool. Australia is like breathtaking. It's
Is
just so damn far away. Americans don't go there often unless
Right.
there's a reason.
Okay. I have some questions for you on Q&A day, if I may. I'm curious to understand. Consciously dying. Okay.
All right.
I've read that we are to fix our mind on Krishna in those final moments. And in the Bhagavad-gita, 8th chapter, text 12, it mentions closing the gates of the body and drawing the mind into the heart, then raise the prana into the head. It's talking about how a yogi dies or how a yogi consciously leaves their body, right? So I have a few further questions, if I may. 1, are there any specific rituals to be performed for a devotee who is dying? 2, what are the rituals, processes that families can perform once the soul has left the body? And 3, how does a funeral differ from typical funeral performances in the West? Thank you for kindly taking the time to read and answer my questions. Blessings to you all. Christy Logan.
Nice. So, well, there are rituals. And like my first question is there's elaborate rituals, but
I thought you were going to say, when your loved one has died, just say, Krishna accept them. And then
Krishna accept. Well, the idea is you keep the main thing again. Okay. And, we see this again and again. It sounds like I'm just speaking from like a pedestrian point of view, but our guru's guru, Prabhupada, he did the same thing. He kept the main thing. He didn't teach a lot of elaborate rituals. He taught the main thing. Oftentimes people get caught up in the ritual. Even within this newborn bhakti culture, people are still forgetting this important point. Keep the main thing. I've seen it happen in so many different facets of bhakti. You get caught up in the ritual and you forget the main thing. So the main thing here is, depending on the situation, right? Suppose a person, of course, in India, you cremate the body immediately, and then there's, rituals that you do at the Holy River. Okay, so we may not have that here. We may be part of a bigger family. No one believes in bhakti. They believe in a funeral casket and burying the body. So it's going to have to be adjusted. You got to keep the main thing. In that situation, I would bring Ganges water, Tulsi leaves, and sprinkle Ganges water on the body. I would and now before the person's dying, I'd be chanting, I'd be playing. At one point, I thought my brother was going to die. I think he had pneumonia or something really bad, my older brother. And I just went in there and left kirtan playing in his room while he was, he didn't have much of an option to tell me he couldn't speak when he was so out of it. But and he didn't have any option, but I was pouring Ganges water on his head, but it's one of these things that these are rituals that we do that assist you in your transition, or at least give some benefit while you're alive. So when you bring in sacred articles or sacred things or chant the mantra or have kirtans going on, this affects the consciousness. And then to the degree that you want to turn that up, or to the degree that your family is more into what you're doing, then you could do it. Then you take ashes and you bring them to a holy place, and you get and then you can you can make an offering on behalf of that person. You can sponsor a feast, and this is an offering for this deceased person, and then you're feeding all the Vaishnavas or all the devotees in honor of your loved one that has passed. So there's always ways to turn it up a little, but it always involves the chanting of the holy name, sacred articles, adding Krishna or Krishna remembrance of Vishnu into the rituals or into the experience.
I think we did that for Gopal over the summer. We had and his parents hosted an event where they fed everyone, right? That has a lot to do with the post-dying ceremony, right? Is that the idea is we're trying to do whatever we can. And there's what's called the Shraddha ceremony, right? The Shraddha ceremony, which again, as you're saying, could be done in a very simple way or could be done in a very elaborate way. There's a whole elaborate way to do it. We're not so expert at doing these things elaborately. So as you're saying, we try to understand the main thing. We try to understand the essence of it. And so the essence of it is that the family wants they want special people to wish him well or wish her well now that they've passed away, and to grant whatever blessings, whatever good wishes that they have in their heart for that person. And so in the name of that person, they feed them, they satisfy, they honor them, they feed them, they satisfy them with the intention, please bless this person who has passed away. So that's, it's things like that are nice, I wanted to share this also is that that Christy mentioned, she quoted Bhagavad-gita from the 8th chapter, which which talks about death, right?
Yeah.
And she quoted this verse, and there's actually the following verse kind of connects with that. This text 12 and 13, the yogic situation is that of detachment from all sensual engagements, closing all the doors of the senses. This is someone that can sit in the lotus posture and leave their body, right?
Right.
Fixing the mind on the heart and the life air at the top of the head, one establishes himself in yoga. After being situated in this yoga practice and vibrating the sacred syllable Om, the supreme combination of letters, if one thinks of the Supreme Personality and quits the body, they will certainly reach the spiritual planets. Okay. But one has to understand the context of what's being shared here by Krishna, because really what he's getting at, you see, Krishna will validate all different paths of yoga in the Bhagavad Gita. He'll say that these are true and they work, and there are people that can do this. But he also relativizes different paths of yoga in relation to unalloyed devotion, right? Which he's presenting as the highest path, where the other paths ultimately are meant to lead. And so there's a real important text that follows those two texts, which is text 14. And there, do you know this verse, Raga? Ananya Cheta Satatam.
Ananya Cheta Satatam, but Bhajate Mama Ananya Bhak. No?
Yomam Smarati Nitya Saha.
Yes.
Yes.
Give me the first word. Give me the first word in English.
For.
Oh, come on.
For one who always remembers me without deviation. Yeah, for one who
always remembers without deviation.
Ananya Cheta Satata. Ananya, never ending Cheta, my consciousness. Satatam, always, right? Ananya Cheta, without deviation of the mind. For one who remembers me. Yo mam smarati nitya saha. Smarati means to remember. Mam means me. Nitya saha means, again, like always, all the time, right? See, this is saying the main thing, right? For one who always remembers me without deviation, I am easy to obtain. What I was just describing in those other two verses, where you sit and you meditate, and a yogi can do these, very few people, it takes incredible self-discipline and years and maybe even lifetimes to be able to do that. But for one who always remembers me without deviation, for one who actually loves me, feels for me, I am easy to obtain. O Arjuna, because of their constant engagement in devotional service. This is real. This is the main thing that Krishna is trying to share in the Gita, right? It's like there are so many. There are different paths of yoga. They're challenging, but the main thing is, if you just remember me, return to me. All those paths are meant to lead to me in the end. Just turn to me, and I'll take care of this for you. And then he goes on in the chapter to describe the different times the yogis will leave the body. Right? It's different astrological circumstances.
Auspicious and inauspicious times to leave the body. There's
Exactly.
always auspicious and inauspicious times to die, to get married, to be born, to create a child, to conceive.
Yeah. And so there Krishna begins to speak to Arjuna on that level. And at the end of the chapter in text 26, he says, according to the Vedic opinion, there are two ways from passing from this world, one in light and one in darkness. And that has to do with those different astrological circumstances. When one passes in light, they do not come back. But when one passes in darkness, they return. And then he says this. This is the last two verses, text 27 and 28. Although the devotees know these two paths, O Arjuna, they are never bewildered. Therefore, always be fixed in devotion. Right? If you're just fixed in devotion to Krishna, then all these technicalities become unimportant. And he wraps it up with this powerful verse, text 28. A person who accepts the path of devotional service of bhakti is not bereft of the results of studying the Vedas, performing sacrifices, undergoing austerities, giving charity, or pursuing philosophical and fruitive activities. All that other stuff that the Vedas get into in such detail that people put in years and years of their life to master and so on. It's saying that if you have devotion, the results of all those other things, you've got them, because ultimately those things are meant to connect you with the Supreme. And if you've got devotion, you're already connected. He says simply by performing devotional service, they attain all of these, and at the end, they reach the Supreme Eternal Abode. So,
because one time, I'm sure you remember this, but one of our students was getting married, and we were present for it, and we arranged it for them in India. And the priest did these very, very elaborate rituals and did many, many mantras. And it was a very nice ceremony. And after the ceremony, Radhanath Swami took us aside and walked with us. And he said, from now on, you two do all the weddings.
Yeah.
And we were just like, we were a little taken aback. Like, really? He goes, Maharaj, we're not trained in doing these rituals. He goes, just learn the basics. You don't need to do all this stuff. Keep it simple. He basically said exactly what we're understand the meaning and share the meaning. And you don't have to do so much elaborate rituals to marry someone. And he goes, and then he said, Prabhupada never did that either when he married people. So it's not like I'm just trying to find an easy way out when I'm saying keep it simple and stuff like that. He goes, but our mission is to really focus on the essence. And I think a lot of times Indians, when they, because there are so many rituals, when they get into bhakti or their rebirth of bhakti, they're sometimes a little confused. Like, well, we did a ritual for this, a ritual for this, a ritual for this. Well, and it's sort of like I grew up in Catholicism. It's like, I don't even know why we were doing this ritual. I barely understood why I was doing the sign of the cross. No one told me what to do. I was just doing it. I was following the person ahead of me. I guess that's what we do, but I didn't understand the substance behind it. So we like rituals, but rituals need substance, or else we lose taste and flavor for it all. We want our spiritual practice to have substance to it.
Yeah, that's right. That's the important thing. You know, and whenever Srila Prabhupada writes on these kind of things, like in his commentaries, he'll say, what's the real ritual? Chant Hare Krishna, right?
And it sounds so simple, but that's it.
Yeah. And so, going back to our first question about how to offer food, and one said, chant Hare Krishna. Krishna. It's not so hard to learn the few verses that we generally chant when we do that. But even if you don't know those, even if you can't memorize any Sanskrit, chant the Maha Mantra and offer it, and within your heart say, dear Lord, please accept, thank you, and please accept this offering. Before I eat, I want to offer this to you. You please accept this. and then chant Maha Mantra, right? If someone dies, what are we going to do for them? We're going to chant Maha Mantra. After they've died, what are we going to do? We're going to chant Maha Mantra. It's like we kind of simplify everything. You're getting down to the because the Maha Mantra is the essence of all yoga. You know, we do that. All right, that's it.
Beautiful.
We'll be back tomorrow, either interviewing someone or doing more Q&A. We're not sure yet, right?
We're sure. You know, Christian's keeping us a little destitute to make it more exciting. Hey, I want to thank everybody that came. I want to thank Mara for driving out in the truck with us today at Love's Gas Station. I want to thank Love's Gas Station, Dunkin' Donuts, for supporting the show today.
Raghunath, there is we have an episode that the title of it is "This Podcast Was Not Brought to You by Dunkin' Donuts."
Thanks everybody for joining us on Facebook. Hey, Facebook people, come on. You can join us every day here. Just go to anywhere that you get podcasts and look for Wisdom of the Sages. Follow us, like us, comment, etc. Follow us on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram also, Raghunath Yogi. And remember, we got some great stuff coming up. Go to wisdomofthesages.com. Check out our Wisdom of the Sages retreat before it sells out in the Super Soul Farm, and our Italy retreat, which is also going to sell out. A great way to spend your summer with a bunch of cool people. And a 200-hour people interested in studying yoga, study with me and Bobby and Cindy. These are our Zoom people. But it's yoga with a huge bhakti twist. Understand the essence. Understand the main thing of why we're doing the yoga in the first place. Anyway, check out my website, raghunath.yoga. Thanks, everybody, for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow. Keep the main thing. Let the magic continue to flow in a big Haribol. Woo!